Hey guys, thank you for tuning in into Royal Tiger Imports. I'm Uli, this is Shaw. Today we want to show you something which is really cool, and of course we keep it for our own collection. But this is actually a Mauser, Model 98. It was born in 1916 at the Spandau Arsenal right in Berlin. And then basically it was reintroduced or taken over into the Weimar Republic Reichswehr after World War I, and it has a 1920 date stamp on top of it. But then this rifle must have gone through basically World War II, and when the Czechs got it, actually they converted it into a Mauser K98. It's very interesting because, you know, it has a Czech barrel on there and the Czech line and everything. And then, of course, it has the Ethiopian stock with a little stock medallion here. And so I wanted to share this with you. So it's a really, really cool, neat piece of history. It's seen so many armies, you know, the German World War I army, then the Reichswehr, and then probably the Wehrmacht. And then later on, the Czechs converted it and it saw service in Africa. So what do you think about it?
Well, I think it's pretty incredible. You know, like Uli said, this thing has seen quite the world tour at a bare minimum 3 different governments, and you know, if you go into it more, probably even more than that. This thing's been on multiple continents, multiple battlefields. It's just overall a really incredible piece, and we'll get a close-up of it shortly to show you all the cool markings.
Awesome. And guys, you know, we sell accessories. These are actually original Mauser K98 ammo pouches, and we got them in 2001 or 2002 actually out of Ukraine. Today, Russia, Bakhmut, it's called today, or back then it was Artemovsk. And there was this huge underground salt mine with trainloads and trainloads of firearms. I think from 1945 up to 1990. A few thousand trainloads were shipped into Artemovsk and were stored underground, and now nothing will come out. It's owned by Russia now. We do have this nice reproduction cleaning rods, 10 and 12 inch. We do have the nice K98 slings, and what's really cool for the desk, the potatoes measures, the Stielhandgranate 1924. So this is a nice collection. This, of course, the items are available. If you need anything, just check out our website. And again, Shaw will show you now the details of that interesting Mauser. Thank you for watching. God bless, and God bless America.
All right, folks, let's get a closer look at this rifle and the accessories. Starting at the center of the rifle, we can see what it originally started out as. It was manufactured at the Spandau Arsenal in 1916. You can see the markings a little bit worn there, but still present. Again, this is imperial era markings. You can see by the crown up top. And then it has a 1920 date stamp at the very top. This means that it was formally accepted into the Weimar Republic military. And this is considered basically as a property stamp. So if somebody was found to have a rifle like this, originally in its Gewehr 98 length, in fact, you can see here upside down is our Gewehr GEW 98 marking. If somebody was found to have a 1920 stamped rifle but was not in the military, then they knew that it was stolen property at that time, among other things. And you can see our original serial number on the side here. But what's interesting is that on the later side of its service life, you can see it has a Czech lion stamp on the side of the receiver, as well as on the side of the barrel. But we'll get back to that later. You can see on the right side of the rifle, these are imperial era markings, again, all World War I era. So no doubt this thing probably served in World War I. At a bare minimum, it may have been at a train depot or somewhere where it did not see frontline use, or it could have even seen frontline use. Who knows? If the rifle could talk, it would have some real good stories to tell. Moving on to the front of the rifle, you can see, if we zoom out a little bit more, that the front end is basically a K98 because it has been converted into a K98. At least in the original specification, it was a much longer Gewehr 98 length barrel, but this has our updated front end on it. So you can see it even has the very late World War II style stamped barrel bands. And if we move up, you can see this one does have its bayonet lug. It's not a full Kriegsmodell, but it does have the bayonet lug that was standard on the Ethiopian contract ones. This particular one does have a reproduction front sight hood on it, but the original ones did come with a front sight hood. Most did not come with cleaning rods from what we can see, because while they do have a hole, and this is in reference to the Ethiopian contract, you can see that the bayonet lug did have a hole drilled through it. However, many of the stocks that we've seen do not have the hole drilled into the stock itself and do not have the nut on the inside of it. Some do, some don't. It appears that for whatever reason it was not mandatory in that contract. Maybe they carried a separate cleaning kit or some sort of pull-through. Who knows? But kind of interesting that some of them have the ability to accept a cleaning rod, others do not. And one other interesting thing, speaking of markings, as we were discussing earlier, you can see right here on the side of the barrel, this is a DOT shield stamp. This is, generally speaking, a World War II era marking, meaning that this barrel was probably a leftover part made at the DOT arsenal, which again hints at the fact that this was a Czech refurbished gun. And one other thing that we'll cover is you can see the trigger guard is the very late design. This is again that post-war VZ24 large trigger guard design. The original Spandau would have had a milled trigger guard with a smaller trigger guard, and it would have had a small hole drilled near where the front of this is welded. It would have had a small hole drilled so you can relocate your sling instead. Again, in the larger milled piece. You can also see that the bolt is standard G98 bent bolt. And finally, at the rear end of the stock, this is a late war style stock, laminated with the hole in the butt plate for aiding in the bolt disassembly. Your firing pin would go into the hole in the butt stock, and you're able to press down on the rear cocking shroud to unscrew the cocking piece for full disassembly. And last but not least, this is our Ethiopian coin. This is St. George slaying the dragon with Amharic script underneath. Very cool, and this is again exclusive to the Czech-made Ethiopian contract firearms. No doubt this rifle has seen an extensive history. This thing has seen World War I, interwar period, World War II, and then post-war on a completely different continent. And now back in the US at this point. Moving on, we've got our 1924 stick hand grenade. You can see that this one has nice markings on it. This has really crystal clear markings, in fact. Again, this is a reproduction, totally inert. Got both stamped and painted markings. We've got our reproduction leather sling. And you can also see, if we pull it up right here, this has nice markings on the underside. This particular one is marked DVR 42 with a Waffenop. We also have our 12.5 and 10.5 inch cleaning rods. And here is our reproduction front sight hood. You can see that this is made out of the correct thickness of material, correct spring steel material. It's a very nice fit for a World War II gun that's missing its front sight hood. And finally, we have our ammunition pouch. This stores basically 2 stripper clips fully loaded per, so you're dealing with 6 total loaded stripper clips. It has small dividers on the insides. Some of the ones that we have do not have the dividers. It just depends on the condition and grading. But you can see that it's all there. Some of them have nice markings on the back. You can see this one has a code on the back. And they vary slightly. Some are stitched, some are riveted, But nonetheless, it's getting harder and harder to find these original ammunition pouches. Thank you very much for watching. God bless.